When you have a heart that is postured towards valuing rest, and in essence, you value yourself. You realize that you are not what you do. You are not who you show up as. If you don't have it on you to show up for anyone else for the day, you are still a good person. Hey girlies, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Laura Renee, and this is another episode of the Faithful and Feminine podcast series. This is a series where I like to talk about all things faith, femininity, and personal development as a young girl in her 20s, just trying to navigate life. I like to just pick up a mic and talk about whatever God places on my heart, whether it's something that I'm currently going through, something that I recently went through, or something that I've gone through in the past. So if you can relate to any of the topics discussed in this video, feel free to comment, leave some feedback, let your girl know. And also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So on today's video, I want to talk about the beauty of rest. And before I even get into today's topic, I just want to say that it's been a minute since I hopped in front of a camera. It's been probably about a month, maybe a little over a month since I recorded. And honestly, I've just truly just been in a state of rest. God has been slowing me down a lot. And the crazy thing about it is that I thought that he just wanted me to work less. I thought at first that slowing down just meant work less. I didn't equate slowing down to resting more. It's not about how much work I do. It's truly about how much rest do I allow myself to have. And it ties perfectly into today's topic because this is something that I've been going through for the last couple weeks, something that I've been enjoying, and also something that I've been wrestling with. When you're used to living such a fast-paced life, living on the go or jumping from one thing to the next, it's kind of hard to slow down or kind of hard to accept when life tells you to slow down. And I'm kind of grateful because I entered a season where God told me to slow down and I said, okay, say less. It was less of a need, more of just an act of obedience that truly benefited me for where I am on my feminine journey. And I'm so appreciative of that. And so I was just telling a coworker this the other day that even though I'm only 23, it feels like I lived a life full of hustle and work and steady being busy and always thinking in my mind, always being on the next thing. I started working when I was 16 years old. I didn't have any heavy bills at the time, but I was introduced to the concept of work from a very, very young age. Even when I didn't have to, I wanted to. So my free time outside of school, outside of hanging with friends, outside of, extracurricular activities, I was in the band and I was in a few clubs and I was in a few different things. When I say I was in a band, I was a majorette. I ain't play no instrument. I'm not, I ain't that talented or nothing. But, your girl could twirl a little baton or two, you know what I'm saying? Nothing too major. But yeah, so I started working at a pretty young age. And then when I got to college, that work ethic was kind of instilled in me. I was like, no matter what I'm doing or where I'm at, I got to have a job. And so at some point in college, like I mentioned in my last video, I would start my days at 2:00 in the morning, work a whole entire 8-hour shift, get off at 12. I'd have class sometimes right after or homework sometimes right after. And of course, being a part of an organization, I would have to be a part of meetings, help plan events, attend events, all kind of things. And so, even when I would have like an hour, 30 minutes in the middle of my day to take a quick nap, as soon as I wake up, I'm like, okay, what do I have to do next? Do I have an assignment? Do I have a meeting? Do I have this? Do I have that? Okay, I work tomorrow. And I work in sales. And so even when I'm at work, it's not like a leisure office kind of job where I kind of just relax. I have to talk to people. I have to make sales. I have to represent my company. And at some point I was a top seller as well. And so the pressure to stay consistent and maintain high numbers and then have to leave work and constantly have my mind fixed on the next thing, it kind of just put me in a busy mindset. And I didn't realize how attached I was to that mindset until I graduated, and gradually I started to slow down. I didn't care as much about making sales, and I wasn't in school full time anymore, but then I got into content. And so my approach to content kind of mirrored my busy work ethic lifestyle. I felt like, okay, this is the plan, this is the strategy. I want to create this amount of videos per month. I'm going to record on this day, this day, this day, this day. Very, very structured, very, very strategic. And while organization can be a great thing and it can be a great tool, especially when you have a real goal in mind, for me, I just think that getting into my creative side, honestly, this is a new field for me. And so to approach it so rigorously, in my opinion, was just kind of a reflection of my hustle on the go. Like, it was just reflecting in every area of my life. I have a video where I'll talk about that as well, when it comes to being strategic when pursuing purpose. But I've kind of just really been appreciative of the last couple weeks of just being able to take it slow, not feeling pressured, not having any standards to rise to, just handling the basic necessities, and everything after that is a plus. Everything after that is a bonus. And so before I get into it, I kind of just want to talk about what rest means for our femininity, what rest means for our faith, and also just what rest means as human beings, right? And so as a woman, it's very, very important. Part of our energy, part of our structure is to be a little bit submissive or dependent on something in our energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone, like a physical person. For me right now, I am dependent on God. While most people may look at me and be like, oh, that's an independent woman. She works, works her little morning shift. She got her day job. She handle business. She lives on her own. She pays all her bills paid on time at that. To the world, I'm a very independent woman. And for a long time, I embodied that. But I didn't truly know what it meant to surrender myself or to feel surrendered unto God until I allowed myself to rest more in my energy. In stepping back from the bigger picture, it allows God more room to paint how he wants to paint and do what he wants to do and move how he wants to move and speak to me a lot more clearly, because I don't have my mind steady fixed on the next best thing to do. And that's how rest also ties into faith. It gives you time to hear. It gives you time to listen. What is God telling me today? What does he need me to do today? Instead of already having it fixed in your mind what needs to be done. If that makes sense. As women, most of the time we are naturally called to be nurturers, nurture the people around us, be nurturing in what we do and how we do it. And one thing I realize is that women are not meant to run on overdrive. I truly believe for myself as a woman that we are not meant to work too hard. Like, we are not meant to work too hard. Our assignment was not to toil the ground. That was not our calling. And so while work is important to keep us self-sufficient, especially as adults in today's society, I do believe as a woman, before you call yourself to nurture anyone else, are you being nurtured? Are you sufficiently rested? If you've been working early the last few days and you've only been taking a couple hours of rest per night, have you given yourself a day within that week to sleep in? Have you given yourself a day within that week to cook or eat your favorite meal? Have you given yourself the opportunity to step outside, go for a walk, slow down? Are you listening to things that soothe your soul, that feed your soul? It's definitely imperative to take a breath and to take a break, because our energy naturally calls us to pour into others in some way, shape, or form. We have to make sure that we are poured into. We have to make sure that our cup is full. We have to make sure that we feel self-sufficient inside before we can share that energy with everyone else. And I'm not a mom yet, and I respect all moms out there. And I do have friends that are moms. And one thing that one of my friends, I love about her so much, is that when she needs to take a break, she's going to take it. She's been a mom for about 3 years. And she honors that about herself, because on any given day, there's another little human that she needs to tend to. And so when she isn't right, she understands that if I'm not right, my son won't be right. If I'm frantic and if I'm all over the place, my son will feel that. And so whenever she feels herself getting worked up, she never hesitates to take a step back and understand that I need rest. I need relaxation. I need a break. I need solitude. And she honors that. And so to all my mothers out there, young mothers, older mothers, seasoned mothers, empty nesters, don't be afraid to give yourself what you need. I know it takes a lot of courage to put your needs above everyone else's when you're so used to giving and giving and giving. But don't allow yourself to give from an empty cup. Read the cues, listen to your body, and honor whenever you need to take a break. So I kind of just want to pull up a word really quick from the Bible. This is going to be in Genesis chapter 2, verse 3. This is the English Standard Version. It says, "So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all his work that he had done in creation." And so one word that stuck out to me a lot when I read this verse over is the word holy, which really means sacred, something that you hold dear, something that you prioritize no matter what, something that you hold close to your heart. And God calls his rest day holy. He calls it sacred. It's something that he holds near and dear. And not only that, but it says that once he was done in creation, the very first thing he wanted to do was rest. Not check up on his creation and make sure all was going well. Not check up and make sure the plants were sprouting how they needed to, and the people were peopling how they needed to, and the sky was opening how it needed to, and the waters was running how it... No. He created and he rested. Not he created and he sat and watched and waited for the outcome, sat and watched and waited for the results, sat and watched and tried to coax a certain outcome. He sat and he rested. And so if God can hold rest sacred, why can't we? If rest is a part of our creation story, then it should be a part of our lives as well. It should be a part of how we move, how we work. We should never work without having in mind when we will have time to rest. And a nap isn't rest. Sleep isn't rest. There's a lot of things that go into that. But truly, if rest is a part of our creation story, then it must also be a part of our personal stories too, no? Another fascinating thing that I find about this story as well, and shout out to the BEMA podcast. I will plug in their podcast below. I'm not sure if they're on Spotify, but they're definitely on Apple Podcasts. It's a series where they talk about Bible stories and they explain it and go into it so deep. It just transforms your perspective. But one thing as well that they pointed out in this podcast is that one of the first thing that God tells us about himself, this is, mind you, this is the second chapter of the entire book that he wrote and wanted us to read to know his word. One of the first things he wants us to know is that he rested. It's in his character to rest. It's in his character to step back and appreciate the creation that he made. Say that it is good and call it a day. And so one thing that I am learning to do is know when to say enough is enough. Know when to step back and say that is good. Some days I just work an 8-hour shift, come home and relax. But that's good for that day. My energy doesn't require anything else out of me. That's all I have to pour out from myself that day. But then there are some days where I'm busy and I'm on the go and I'm road tripping, driving from city to city after working a shift to show up for my family, to do all certain things because that's what my energy allows. And guess what? That's good too. And then there are days where I'm creating and I'm editing and I'm sitting editing a video for hours and hours. And I look back at what I did and I said, that's good. But then there are days where I'm like, ooh, I got content. I know it needs to be edited, but I'm not going to hold you. I don't got it on me right now. But you know what? That's good too. Just being able to take a daily look at our energy and know when to say it is good. Don't work against yourself. Don't work against the grain. If you truly don't have the energy or the inspiration to do something, don't force it. Rest in it. Know when to take it slow, because when that spurt of energy comes back, watch how much you get accomplished. When that spurt of energy comes back, watch how well you work. Watch how well you get things done. And so outside of your basic necessities, just know when to say enough is enough. Now, I'm not saying go call out 2-3 days in a row because you don't got the energy to go to work. That's a basic necessity. We're an adult. But when it comes to everything outside of basic necessities, as far as taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, or taking care of providing for yourself, know when to say enough is enough. One thing that I've been learning in the midst of slowing down is that rest is a heart posture. Rest feels like ease. Rest isn't forceful. When you have a heart that is postured towards valuing rest, and in essence, you value yourself. You realize that you are not what you do. You are not who you show up as. If you don't have it on you to show up for anyone else for the day, you are still a good person. Until you fully recharge and pour into your own cup, you will never be effectively able to pour into others. Sometimes it takes a day. Sometimes it takes 2 days. Sometimes it takes a week until you feel like yourself again. But just know that no amount of rest that you need for yourself is ever in vain. If anything, it benefits everybody around you because it allows you to show up as your fullest self. It's a heart posture that says, I value the energy that I have, and I value the energy that I need to do things. I know how effective I can be, and I know how effective I can't be. And so honoring that and valuing yourself enough to know that you don't have to produce and do a million things a day to feel good about yourself. If you feel inspired to do those things, absolutely. And one thing that I realized is that looking back now at how busy my days used to be, I have no idea how I had so much energy to do so many things. I mean, work, home, class, writing essays. I'm talking about 5 classes at a time, doing math assignments and doing essays and doing papers and doing presentations, doing outlines, and then being a vice president of an organization, and then doing this and showing up for friends and family. I have no idea how I was able to do so many things, but guess what? I was inspired to, because you will always be equipped to do whatever the season requires of you. If a season requires slowness, you will have the provision to be able to do that. If the season requires you showing up to a lot of places at a lot of different times, you will look up and out of nowhere, you have the energy to be in a million places at once. It's a blessing to be attuned to what your season requires of you. Because when my season required me to do so much, I had all the energy and I didn't have to question it. And I was running off of 3.5 hours of sleep on a daily and I wouldn't even feel it. But now I run off of 3.5 hours, baby. I feel it. And so stay attuned to whatever the season requires of you. Be obedient when life allows you to slow down. Honor rest and what it means as a woman to truly allow yourself to be dependent on God. Trust that He will provide in the spaces where you can't. Trust that He still loves you, even if you don't lift up your finger and do not one thing that day. You are loved before you start your day. Our day should start where our heart is postured, knowing that I am loved, I am valued, I am powerful, I am magnificent exactly where I'm at. I could do nothing today, and God still loves me just the same, so why can't I? And another thing that I kind of just want to point out is that there is no forcefulness in doing things that you know need to be done. It just means that you honor what needs to be done. Your body will give you cues when it's time to slow down. Do not put yourself in overdrive to please yourself, and know that you do not have to put yourself in overdrive to please God. He will never be pleased when you overwork yourself, because He didn't. He took 6 days to create everything He needed to create, and on the 7th day He stamped it and said, this is the day that I will rest. I will call this day sacred. And so honor within yourselves. We live in a society that goes against our human nature to recharge. Do whatever your season requires of you. And don't be afraid to rest when needed, because God will provide. Whenever He calls you to rest, know that He will fill in the gaps for wherever your hands or your arms can no longer reach. Don't be afraid to call your energy back to yourself. Your friends will still be there. Your family will still be there. That job will still be there. If you need a day, I've been known to take a day or two. Trust. And so, yeah. This season has been teaching me to honor the way that I rest, honor the way that I recharge my energy, honor the way that I view myself. There's nothing that I have to do to be more loved. There's nothing that I have to do to be more valuable. There are things that I get to do, but there's nothing that I have to do. And that's a beautiful thing. And so, yeah, I just wanted to get on here and talk about that. I'm so excited to be back in front of the camera. I truly missed being in front of the camera. It's been a minute. And I've just been resting, talking to God. I've been hanging out with friends, hanging out with family, and just truly taking a step back from the creative space to kind of just reevaluate how I want to approach this. And I think approaching this strategically doesn't really give me an opportunity to stay still and get inspired to talk about what truly pulls at my heart, not just what I feel like I should talk about, but things that I'm actually passionate in expressing. And so it's just kind of just changed my whole approach to Faithful and Feminine. And I'm so thankful for you guys who are tuning in for the first time, or for those who are tuning in again, or who are tuning in, who are back to my channel. I'm so grateful for this platform, and I'm grateful for all of you. So if you gained something from this video, feel free to leave a comment, leave me some feedback, let your girl know. But other than that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.